Welcome to another episode of Unlocking Silicon Valley, formerly All Things Real Estate, where we always say who you work with matters. So today, for those of you that are listening and not watching us online, we've got Jason, Jeet, Ben, and myself.
Two of us got shorts on today.
Yeah, we are wearing shorts today, even though Keller Williams Bay Area Estates would prefer that we did not. However, we tend to we tend to lead trends in real estate, both in number of transactions and what we see in terms of future forecasting, trends, buyer and seller needs, but also real estate office attire. So with that said, we're going to jump in. We've got a lot of great topics today. I'm going to let Jason start with stats, and then I'm going to add up some numbers to support that. So go ahead, Jay.
Cool. Current market stats in Santa Clara County. Single family homes, 1165.
Now, does that include coming soon?
No.
Okay, so just active on the market today, 1,165 single family homes for sale.
Which I don't think we've seen
Yeah.
in a while.
Yep.
Aaron's prediction of 1,100 plus homes finally came true a few years later.
Jacob could roll back to that clip
Yeah.
and put it right there.
So what's going to be the highest number of inventory single family homes in Santa Clara County this year?
1,600.
100?
4 years and 40 pounds ago.
Cool. And then townhomes and condos, 788.
All right.
Active.
Yeah. So we're up at just above 2,000, right? Units for both, which is a 55% increase over this time last year. So, pretty significant, in terms of opportunities for buyers, right? And so that being said, what are you guys seeing from your buyers out in the marketplace right now? Because we are basically in some areas and fast approaching in others becoming a neutral market. Now, you guys probably haven't been in this type of market before, right? I mean, you caught a little bit of it during COVID when things slowed down. But it's scary for sellers, right? What do you mean it's going to take 2 or 3 weeks to sell my home and not 4 days? What do you mean I'm not going to get 15 offers and sell for $300,000 over asking price, right? So we have to reset those seller expectations, even from just 60, 90 days ago. But also, what are you guys advising your buyers who used to be panic buying, right? As soon as they saw something that met half of the criteria that they wanted, gee, let's make an offer. Let's go 150,000 over on this, $1 million house. What are you guys advising your clients now on the buyer side with respect to offers and inventory?
Yeah, I'm placing 2 offers today. One's in Los Altos, the other one's in Berryessa. 2 completely different markets. Surprisingly, Berryessa has a deadline and tons of offers. And Los Altos, although priced quite low, it's a little bit of a funkier house, and it's been, they're not setting a deadline, but they had good traffic. So what we are seeing is that the demand is scattering and people are getting pickier, and right now each pocket is moving differently. So past sales won't really give you an indication of where things are going to go. It might just come down to how many offers they get and how many actually convert for that particular house. So, right now it's like we're going in and we are going to make our own comps for the future, right? Because after this shift, there may not have been anything that has sold in that little pocket. So let's go in with a price that you feel comfortable buying at. And, if we get it, great. If not, we compete and we finally set that new sales data point, right? But right now we're not seeing issues with appraisals, because when you go 5-6 months ago, we're still seeing everything come in, and everything was quite inflated back in Jan and Feb.
Ben?
Yeah, I love it. I think especially for my generation and for my group of friends who have grown up and lived out here, to see prices, how chaotic they were, to now seeing the slowdown, seeing much more inventory. Last week we went to look at 12 properties, and all of them have been sitting for over 25 days.
Yeah.
On the hottest day of the year.
And the hottest day of the year. And it's like, when you look at that, like, that gives you a lot of positive, support. Like, you can be a home buyer in this market. This is a great time to take advantage of it. And I think for, again, people who have been here for a while, to see it start to slow down, this is a great time to take advantage.
Well, and let me say this. I mean, this is a huge leverage shift from listing agents to buyer's agents, right? I mean, you guys built your early careers primarily on working with buyers where you had little to no leverage, right? Your leverage was relationship with the listing agent and encouraging your buyer to write the strongest offer possible. Now it's interesting because listing agents are notoriously snobby, entitled, right? Because they're the one that holds the keys to the house, and they had the luxury of, not caring if they didn't return every phone call or every voicemail or every text message, because they knew no matter what, they'd get an offer or multiple offers on their home. Now it's interesting to see these listing agents who used to never return phone calls calling you guys up and saying, hey, what's the level of interest of your buyer? My sellers are super motivated. So for me, it's fun to sit back and watch the power shift back to you guys on the buyer's agent side, and be able to kind of, serve up a little bit of karma to some of these entitled listing agents. So that's a nice byproduct of it. That, as me as kind of the team, whatever, manager or team old guy gets to sit back and watch you guys get a little bit of power. And so that's nice and encouraging.
Yeah, no, it's great because now even if my buyer passes on one property, I know that, hey, there's like 3 more in the area that I can probably go.
I see more coming too. I don't think this is where the inventory hits the ceiling. I think once we hit July, maybe even into August, I think we're going to see even more inventory start coming on. I think buyers are going to have more of an opportunity. So don't worry.
Well, and this actually is a good quick segue to sellers in the heyday, which, we've been in for a number of years. It was easier for a seller to go to a listing agent and say, hey, I only want to pay you 1% or 2%, right? Under the average, because you don't have to work as hard to bring me an offer. And I think what's happening in the minds of some of these sellers, when I'm talking about resetting expectation, these sellers still think that you can put a sign in the yard and get multiple offers on a house. So, they are minimizing, what an experienced agent has to bring to the table on the listing side, because I know just today we were talking about sellers, coming back to you and saying, hey, I want you to drop your commission to something that you would normally never do. And I think it's because they don't see the value in this type of market. But let me say this to anybody thinking about selling a home, there's a huge difference between a flat fee agent and an experienced agent with an actual track record of success in this market, because a shifting market is no joke. And if a seller doesn't work with the right agent, or an agent that doesn't have experience selling multiple properties in this market, they may think they're saving money on commission, but they're leaving possibly hundreds of thousands of dollars on the table by working with the wrong agent. And so in a shifting market, especially, who you work with matters.
I agree.
Jay, what else you got?
I got an article here that specific to the Bay Area. I'll read the title and then kind of want to debunk it because I don't want it.
Fake news?
Fake news almost.
I love it. All right, so where'd the article come from?
Article came from SF Bay Area Real Estate Commission or something like that. It's kind of a random website I found.
All right.
It's titled 5 Reasons Why Getting a Home Ready for Sale Costs More Than Ever. Okay, so prepping a home for sale.
Yeah, so I mean, on the surface, I could believe that just because of inflation and supply chain, but let's get into the meat of it.
It names 5 things. We obviously do a lot of stuff pre-marketing a house to get it ready, mainly like inspections, and then, hey, if anything we think is going to be a red flag, we should kind of tidy these things up and go. So the first one they said was the biggest thing to get ready for you to sell your house was knob and tube wiring. I was like... I mean, I don't know. Are you guys seeing that? Like, you getting inspections done? Are you seeing a lot of like that?
I don't even know what a knob and tube wiring is.
Well, if you go to parts of Willow Glen and the East Hills, especially of San Jose, homes that are near 100 years old and have never been updated, you will see knob and tube wiring for the electrical instead of what you guys typically see today. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know how prevalent that is in our marketplace. I mean, we sell over 100 homes a year. How many homes last year did you see with knob and tube wiring?
I can't say.
And if you get one or you have a house, are we going to rewire the house before we put it on?
No, we are not. We're going to factor it into what the estimated value of the home is going to be.
Yeah. So I didn't want anyone out there thinking like, I have knob and tube, we're gonna have to rewire a house before I can sell. It was just kind of goofy.
Good.
Next one's kind of basic. It's water heater and furnace. Like, if the inspections come back and those are
rusted or no good,
we'll either replace it or get it fixed. Next one was a roof inspection specifically for new insurance regulations. Ben, I know that's a little near and dear to your heart.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's pretty interesting. I feel like I read something about a week ago or so that California recently approved State Farm's increase in insurance, $17,000 increase and 17% increase for homeowners.
Yeah.
So get that roof, looked at before, or I mean, at least take it into consideration. And again, I feel we had the new contingency come up in the contracts earlier this year, the contingency upon insurance to get insurance. Again, don't wait until you're in contract to look to get insurance. Like if you're reading an inspection report and you see that it's an older roof, I would definitely start working on that in advance to writing an offer, so you have an idea of what you're going in on, especially with.
Well, and I definitely think as listing agents, we need to be a little more proactive. Yeah. And when we see that inspection report come back, we might want to reach out to some of our friends in the insurance space and say, hey, could you write a policy on this house today with this roof inspection? And if the answer is no, then that might be a cost that the seller has to incur in order to make sure that roof is insurable.
And one thing that I spoke to my previous seller about in regards to his roof, actually, because it was older, was if we get a high enough offer, we'll take into consideration and we'll replace the roof for the buyer. Sure. That way our sellers can take the tax deduction and the write-off. And before close of escrow, it's giving that next buyer the availability to get that insurance.
There's some lenders that also don't lend on properties with a roof over 20 years of age, I believe.
And wood shake roofs. And if you are doing roof replacement, make sure you get permits. Because we had an issue on a home that we sold a while back where the insurance company would not insure the home unless we provided the permit. They got the invoice of the new roof, they got the pictures of the new roof, but said, hey, if it's not permitted, we're not going to insure it. So again, there's time and a place when you're doing cosmetic upgrades where you may not need permits, but if it's something large like a roof, major plumbing, electrical, make sure you pull your permits.
Yep. That's a good one.
Hey, yeah.
Better than the tube and wiring.
The old tube and wiring.
But yeah, I mean, so long story short, I mean, again, if you choose to list with a flat fee or inexperienced agent that only lists one home a year or one every 2 or 3 years, they're not going to know about the challenges necessarily with insurance and what to do to proactively mitigate those. They're not going to know what buyers are looking for. They're not going to know what it's going to take to make your home stand out over the 5 that are in the neighborhood now that are also for sale, because they haven't experienced that. They don't know what it's like out there. If they're listing a condo or a townhome, they don't know about SB 326. They don't know about how hard is it to get insurance and all that stuff. So, you think you can cut corners by hiring someone cheap? Good luck.
Yeah, and you have those conversations up front. So then when the inspection comes back, you're saying all this stuff, like kind of predicting the future. And then when it happens, there's no panic and like, hey, Dave and I talked about this already.
Absolutely, right? It's like we're piloting this plane and taking our clients across country. And if we tell them, hey, in about an hour and a half, we're going to experience some turbulence. And guess what? That's okay.
I'm going to turn the button on.
You just sit back, relax, order another cocktail, and I'm going to get you to your final destination.
Go to the bathroom now.
Right? And again, and I mean, like I said, you guys work with a lot more buyers than I do these days. What is it like when you guys approach a house where the listing agent is flat fee or hasn't done very many deals? You can tell they haven't put, much effort into the preparation or documentation on the property. I mean, how excited do you guys get?
Absolutely.
Because you're gonna take advantage of that opportunity, right?
That's right.
So again, it's another, seller beware. Good agents know good listing agents, but they also know when they're not a good listing agent. And we're able to pick that agent apart because that agent who only does one deal every 2 or 3 years just wants a commission. Right. And they're already doing it for a discounted commission, right? So they're just like, hurry up and sell the house. I don't care what it sells for. I don't care, I'll just pressure my seller to accept the offer. We'll do a seller credit. So what? We'll do a price reduction because, what do you mean the roof's old? I didn't know that, right? So, again, seller beware. When you hire an agent that's not experienced, you guys are going to take advantage of them.
Yeah. I think also like being in this day in day out, like looking at so many quotes for for repairs, you get an idea of how much things are going to cost, ballpark, and then you can set that buyer expectation. Like, hey, here's how much we know it's going to cost. Here's how much people are expecting it's going to cost, and that way we can make our offer stand out a little more. Or on the flip side, when we are consulting sellers, we go like, okay, this is a $3,000 fix, but the buyer is going to think it's a $30,000 fix, right? Let's go ahead and take care of that right now before they come and ask us for a big discount.
Yeah, remove distractions.
Exactly.
Right. Absolutely, good stuff. I heard you might have like a top.
Hold on, he's got two more. Two more.
No,
go ahead.
What's funny? So experienced agent right here. He already called out the other two more amongst the conversation. So
There you go.
Who are they?
so fire insurance.
Oh, yeah?
And then SB 326.
There you go.
Hey, let me tell you what this article says that I've never read. Right? Because it's the basics.
Yes.
Here's what I'm going to do for a future podcast. I'm going to invite a flat fee agent
Oh no.
to come and talk about what it's like, and I'm just going to fire off some random questions about, SB 326, about Measure E that we're going to talk about, and just see how they respond, right? We'll blur out their face, hide their voice.
Yeah, do the voice
Yeah,
alter.
the voice modulation. Yeah. For the purpose of this interview, we'll call him Bob. Bob's a flat fee broker.
I've had 5 years of experience, 3 sales.
Yeah. And
I have 75 signboards in the yard.
yeah, exactly. But, we joke about it, and I try not to on our fellow agents, but it's hard not to. There's so many bad ones out there. And it just frustrates me when I see people get into business with agents that don't have the experience that, maybe we do. Or there's other great teams and great agents out there as well, but they're few and far between.
All right. Hey, I had to step in here.
Okay.
Because I experienced the neighborhood specialist in my neighborhood.
Okay.
So Cambrian house
Okay.
for sale. Good friend of mine across the street is the real estate agent.
Okay.
She lists the house and overprices it and barely stages it.
Okay.
And I'm looking from afar I'm like, oh my God, this thing
Yeah.
is screwed.
It's a train
Is
wreck.
dead on arrival. There's like 2 people through the open house. And I was like, oh no. And then they're like thinking that it was just going to sell at the open house.
Right.
It doesn't. They go and actually then stage it and start fixing things up in the house. Okay.
That's the worst.
Now it's been on the market for like 2-3 weeks. And this is a beautiful home, but they just have it priced like over $2 million. Like,
Yeah,
it's just ridiculous.
It's overpriced. They didn't put it out to
Yeah.
market because you only get one chance to make a good first impression.
That's exactly it. And they screwed the first opportunity of it.
Yeah.
And then they just hit it with a $200,000 price
reduction.
reduction.
That's tough.
And that's why you get. Thank you, Jacob, for that.
Mic drop, Jacob.
No,
Thank
that
you.
mic drop because so first of all, and again, that's when we look at properties like that and we're like, oh yeah, it's. But I will give a little bit of advice to that across the street neighborhood expert. Seriously, this is free advice. Take it off and tell me what you guys think. If it's me giving that agent advice right now and the sellers are like, what do we do? Take it off the market for 30 days, right? Do your fix up, do your staging, do better photography, right? Get some professional or ChatGPT to write your ad copy, come back on the market in 30 days at a realistic price. It's going to generate good traffic and good offers. You will end up higher than if you do your $200,000 price reduction and try to get it sold today. What do you guys think?
Yep.
Absolutely. Treat it like a flip, right? Like
Yep.
you get it off, you do it up, you go back on as a fresh new listing,
Yeah.
and people forget that it was ever there.
Yeah,
Push the
absolutely.
reset button.
But hey, after the podcast, give us the address because I'm sure we got some buyers that we can take over there and take advantage of that neighborhood expert. So
I feel like I know the exact home too. Know where Jacob lives. I'm like in my head. All right. I think that was one of the 12 that I saw this weekend. That's
Yeah.
just sitting on the market.
no, that's awesome. Thank you for that, Jacob. You know what I'm missing, man? I'm missing like a top 10 or top 5 list. We haven't had one of those in a while. Has anybody got one?
God, I wonder who has one of those.
Those are my top 5 right there.
Damn, that was it.
That was it.
Oh, all right.
Really tried to lay you.
I tried. I tried.
Those are my 5.
I thought the debunk story. You had a debunk story and a top 5 list.
I got a gimmicky story too.
Okay, well, before we get to that, G worked really hard all day on these numbers.
I was doing quick math.
He's doing quick math.
Closing costs with Jeet.
Yeah,
That's right. That's,
Switching from buyer's deal of the week.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Deal of the week. I
There's
totally
something in
forgot.
Dubai that we were talking about earlier today.
Dubai?
Okay.
Oh,
All right.
yeah.
Hey, squirrels, back over here. Let's focus. So I know that G wanted to talk about Measure E. So, and the changes that are going to take effect July 1st. So, G, why don't you tell us first what Measure E is?
It's an additional tax when you buy a property in the city of San Jose. So you
Okay.
have your normal city transfer tax, which is about $3.3, which is split between the buyer and the seller.
So the tax is just $3.3?
Sorry, it's $3.3 per $1,000 of purchase price.
Okay, so if I'm transferring $1 million in sales price, how much is that?
So that's $3,300. And then that's divided by between the buyer and the seller.
Okay, so they share in the 50-50 in the cost. Okay.
That's right. And on top of that, they introduced a new tax in 2020, which is called the Measure E tax. And that was on any sale over the price of $2 million, where they would have a flat 0.75% of the purchase price at close of escrow.
Right.
So that's again, on $2 million, that's $15,000. That was
Of additional tax.
additional tax on top of the city transfer tax.
Right, so pretty hefty.
Pretty hefty.
Yeah.
And that was shared again between the buyer and the seller. So altogether that would be something like 15 plus $3,000, so $18,000 give or take on a $2 million purchase price. Now they're lifting that tax and putting it on 2.3 million plus sales.
Got it. So-
instead of $2 million and above sales, it's any sale over $2.3 million.
Okay, so anybody right now, because today, we're recording this on June 3rd. So as of today, if you close on a home that is over $2 million, you're going to get that Measure E tax, which, is roughly an extra, you said $15,000, right?
Yeah, on 2 million, it's about 0.75%, roughly 15,000.
Got it. But if they push out close of escrow to July 1st, they go from an $18,000 tax to about a $3,300 to $4,000 tax.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's pretty it's a pretty hefty saving, not just for you, but also for the sellers.
Both
So
sides of the transaction.
for
yeah.
both sides. To give you an example, at 2.2 million, your Measure E would be 8,250,000 for the buyer and the seller split, and then city transfer tax would be about 3.6 thousand for the buyer and the seller.
Okay, so about $12,000 each side for taxes today.
Today.
On a $2.2 million house.
That's right.
Okay,
So
what
that
will it be after July 1st? Total.
total would be $3,600.
Big difference,
Big
right?
difference.
Okay, so then what's your advice? If
Sorry,
I'm...
actually, my bad. It's $7,200 because it's $3,600 each side.
Got it.
So total goes from almost 24,000 to 7,000.
Got it. So they're saving about $17,000 combined between the two sides
That's
if
right.
they close in July 1st versus between now and July 1st.
That's right.
So the advice that I would give then probably doesn't make sense to push out escrow today for an entire month, right? Because you have issues with the buyer's interest rate lock expiring, that type of thing. But if you guys, because I know we have quite a few deals in escrow right now, if you have anything closing from June 15th through the end of the month, I would strongly encourage you guys to get with the agent on the other end and talk about potentially pushing out close of escrow to save thousands of dollars for your client. I mean, you guys have one you're working together, right? Ben, you're on the listing side. It's over 2 million, right? And if the close of escrow date was right before July 1st, why not push it out a week? Why not give your client...
So look at you.
Look at that. Right. That's great. We have a real life example.
Right.
And then
Not an accident.
Right. No, because imagine this. Imagine after this podcast, you guys call your clients and say, hey, guess what? I just found a way to save you $8,000 or make you $8,000 more dollars. Would you be open to hearing that? Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, that's a good call, Jeterbug.
Free extension. Free extension.
Yeah, because now, I'm kind of getting into the weeds a little bit here, but even if your buyer's interest rate lock expires before July 1st, rates are about the same. So you can probably get a low cost or no cost extension on that loan. So again, they're going to save $8,000 or so each side.
Yeah.
Buyer's happy, seller's happy. That is a very rare instance in our market where there's a true win-win. I don't believe in win-wins,
Yeah.
but in this case, I do think it is. Yeah,
That's right.
I do think it's.
Let me call the listing agent.
Do you have the notes on this too? I think not only did it go from 2 to 2.3, but didn't go from like 7 million to 10 million or something, or
For
for more expensive homes? I think it raised on that as well.
I'm not sure on that.
Let's make sure we know what we're talking about before we bring it up. But yeah.
Well, I'm asking if he's got the stats for it. Do you have the stats for it? Anyone have the stats?
I don't think there's that in place for Measure E. I know there's the millionaires tax down in Southern California and LA, which really hit that market hard, while there was that adjustment period. But I'm not sure. We'll check in. We'll check. I'm just giving you a hard time, Ben. But yeah, all right. Well, I mean, kind of short and sweet today. Anything else you guys want to talk about before we wrap up?
I mean, I had a lot question kind of advice on it, but we can say that for
Yeah, let's table that because I want to make sure that we do a little more research. I think I have the answer, but I want to make sure that we do before we give out that information because it's actually a pretty interesting topic. So let's save that for next week.
I had a question. So let's say there's a line of homes behind which there's power lines running, like the normal distribution poles,
Okay.
not the
height.
not the Eiffel Towers, right? You got those distribution poles running throughout the neighborhood, right? So every third home would have that pole
In their
running
backyard corner, yeah.
because it's above ground power.
Yep.
What if that whole line of homes decided to share costs to make that underground? Do you think that's something that, if you got everyone on board, that you would be able to do?
The short answer is I think it's possible. It depends where the transformer is and the distance, where that power terminates to the transformer. But you're going to have to get, contractor involved, the permits. It's going to cost a lot of money. And then maybe your question is, well, does that help increase the value of the home?
That's right.
I think there is some benefit to that. I think it depends on your clientele, but also because it's so prevalent in so many neighborhoods, I think it's just one of those things where it's like, hey, if you want to buy in this part of Cambrian or this part of Willow Glen, it's, above ground power. So I don't know if the return on investment is there. It might make some people feel better at night because I know there's this big, common misconception about power lines in backyards and nearby and proximity of EMFs and that sort of thing. It's definitely an eyesore.
Yeah.
Right.
I had that question from a buyer recently, and I was like, I've never thought about that. So I was like, let me do some research. Now I can get back to them.
Yeah, very costly, right? I mean, we just toured a 6-unit project, right, over in the Carlton area, and all the homes are done, just waiting on PG&E.
Yeah.
Right. And so, those have underground power, right? Which is awesome. But again, doing a conversion, down a city street is, it's a lot. It's expensive.
Yeah.
Think about just access, right?
Yeah.
Digging, to trenching that, tearing down fences.
Yeah.
It's a big undertaking. So I don't know if the return on investment's there.
That's true.
Good question, though.
Good question. All right, guys, it's summertime, so we're wearing shorts, selling houses.
Shorts support shorts.
We got
Yeah.
events coming up.
And we got some music in the park events coming up, right, Ben? With some great music, great food vendors. I think we're gonna roll out some special cups or something.
It's gonna be some nice cups.
But music in the park in Los Gatos. It is actually a great event, lots of fun, family friendly. We are one of the sponsors there, one of the top sponsors. So you get VIP access with us. You get free beer and wine. You get food, snacks from local restaurants. So we got that coming up. And I think in July, we're doing a client appreciation movie night with Superman. That's one we're doing.
Superman.
Superman on 2 screens. And that's it. Other than that, we're just busy selling houses. So if you guys need us, we're here. And have a great day.
Excellent. And who you work with matters.
Come on.
Come on.
All right.
Come on.